Hello, Dr. Mike here for my introduction to computer forensics. This is topic 9 and it is talking about digital forensics tools. This is really a common tools run through and it matches with chapter 9 in the textbook at the time of this recording for my CIS-2808 course. And again, as a quick note, as well my videos, things may change since this has been recorded. There's always new tools. And there's a slide deck I will briefly run through. I'm just going to really just bring to light some of the common tools out there. So it should be a pretty quick video. If you have access to my course, this slide deck can be available for download. You can spend more time on it. And I've skipped some slides too, just for the sake of time. So I'm not going to go through the chapter here. Later on, we are going to I'm going to do a demo of DFF, so which we actually have labs for. So we'll talk about briefly here, but we're not going to go into the chapter during this video. So common tools, and as we've seen building up, there are many types of tools. There are all-encompassing tool sets, and we'll see some of those. And then there are really small tools that do one thing, and it's actually uncommon to run multiple tools that might do the same thing. You might have one large forensic suite that might extract images, and you might also use another tool that only looks for images. If you can duplicate results, it's very important. Very part of the forensics process. So helps validate results also at times. And also we have, of course, our physical tools, and then we have software tools. The majority here is going to be software tools, but we'll just touch upon some of the physical tools, which we touched upon when we talked about hashing in the previous video. So again, really the biggest thing is with all these tools, target examination of original evidence. I mean, really only work from a copy, exact image disk whenever possible. I'm sure there's probably circumstances where this is not possible. I'm not going to go into those here. But again, that's really the mainstay of these tools, is to help you create and work from an exact image. As well as we'll see a lot of logging and all kinds of capabilities built in. Again, these tools are going to fluctuate. The class is built around the textbook, which is talking about open source tools, but we definitely need to discuss all tools, commercial tools. So that means prices are going to be definitely a factor. I'm not going to go into the pricing schemes here. You might see some listed for some of the tools we look at, but I'm not going to go into the different prices. But file system, operating system support. So the lab you build, whether it be an individual, a small team, or an FBI forensics lab, the type of OSs and support you have for both your analysis stations, your workstations, your mobile stations is going to vary. So, and that's going to help you. That might help determine also what tools you can have. Again, this is not an exhaustive list, and again, this slide deck might be a little bit aged. You might see changes in who owns what tool set. The name of this company may change. There's a tool catalog on NIST. Definitely keep there for update. This is what NIST is great for. We have a forensics tool catalog, so best place to go look at all current tools by their functionality, price, and the other ways you can sort that list. It's fantastic. So, probably the most common tool, and one we've seen already, DD, open source tool. I'm not going to go into DD here. I will say that there is the DCFLDD. So, again, I'm not going to go into all the details of this. This is actually in the textbook, and we briefly talked about DCFLDD. DD itself is really not, I mean, it is a forensics tool, but it is really just a general tool itself. It's a general Unix Linux tool. Easy is installed by default. I mean, it's a great base tool. We saw, though, it's pretty basic. You know, it's very detailed in what it does. You know, it makes copies of an input file out to an output file. The in file could be what? You know, it could be a file itself. It could be, you know, a zip file, a directory. It could be an entire partition. It could be an entire hard drive. Output file being the same, what you want, an image from it, and so on. So, you know, DD images and we'll see these. We'll all probably seen these in the class. You'll see them some more. DCFLDD. It adds hashing, some more status, disk wiping. So this actually is meant for forensics. So again, not on the slide deck, but I do want to bring it up, and it is in the textbook. So now we get into more drive spy. So bootable devices with almost DOS or free DOS, and we'll see bootable devices. You can boot the device, and it's never going to touch the original drive. So drive spy is one of those. In this case, it says it's Digital Intelligence Incorporated. I don't think I have a thing up for that yet. But you can see it's a basic use a V command. You can see partitions attached to the computer. You can go ahead and look at the format, the architecture. If it's NTFS, number of bytes per sector. And this is that basic information we need to know for later on. It could be very handy. And then it'll do hashing, it'll create copies, looks for deleted files, and so on. So again, drive spy is a tool. Big one, Encase. There we go. So Encase Forensics, which is open text actually. So it's actually now sellable, I believe. But if we look at Encase, it is open text. I have it over here. So I do suggest looking at the websites. Look at these websites for the most up-to-date information. I'm not going to give you a tour of them. Encase is definitely one of the big ones, though. This is the gold standard. It is one of the largest forensic suites. Runs on Windows workstations and servers. Includes drive duplicators. These are some old screenshots. I definitely suggest looking at here for latest and greatest. Now they actually have some free tools sometimes also. You might be able to find some free tools. I think Encase might have a tool. So used to have a tool for go ahead and doing duplications or creating the images, and it would create an Encase file. Again, a lot of these are GUI based, but you can copy and paste information for your notes. Again, Encase. What can I say? It is one of the major standards. It's probably one of the things you might run into if you become a full-time forensics investigator. There's training, certifications. So definitely something to look at is the training parts. With any of these tools, look for any specific courses to really give you. Maybe you can get a certificate showing you completed training. This is fantastic. It's really going to help you learn the really ins and outs of that tool, and it's going to make you ready to hit the ground running. So here's an example for Encase here. Again, I'm not going to go any more into that. Forensics Replicator. Again, Parabin Forensics tool. So we'll look at Parabin in a second here. Again, it runs on Windows. We have acquisitions tool built into it. We have a nice GUI interface. And we're going to see a lot of these interfaces really do match the same. There's a sort of a tree on the side of, in this case, maybe different partitions or different artifacts of a disk, including directories. And of course, the assets that directory has, or in the case the artifacts, are your files. Again, this should be again a copy, valid copy. You can attach to it, and this thing might go out and will help find. We'll see these tools will go out and search for images, documents, stuff that you can help speed the process up for gathering evidence. FTK, so Forensics Toolkit. So there's Parabin Corporation. I think I may have skipped over it. Another big one. Look for Parabin tools here, law enforcement professionals. Again, look at the website for the latest and greatest for Parabin. They have all kinds of software suites. And also, again, look for training. And they also actually have field kits, too. So, in this case, actual hardware tools. So, we'll see some of these companies also do the hardware side. Cellebrite's another big one. Definitely known for their mobile forensics. So, quickly able to get into both iPhone and iOS. Celebrite is known to be the current solution for this. Again, I'm not going to go into all the details of it here, but keep in mind Celebrite as being one of the major ones for mobile, and mobile is definitely a huge part of forensics. So even though in the end it is a disk, but it offers a lot of different artifacts and also different problems too getting to that disk because of the protections of mobile. So FTK. I don't have FTK up here. We'll talk about it. Forensics Toolkit, Access Data Corporation. Again, probably an older screenshot, but again, you can see here we have actual drive listed out. We have sources, and again, here we have the actual artifacts. So we see the master file table. We see, of course, and you can see, of course, system volume, and then, of course, you can see the user directories and so on. Nice built-in hex editor, and there's a bunch of the tools in FTK. Again, we can create images from a variety of base disks, Linux, NTFS, of course, HFS, and so on. And this is an older list too to find some newer imaging we need to look at. Everything from Mac, the latest Mac has a different drive formats. So, but again, FTK Imager. And of course, they can actually, the thing about FTK Imager, you can read Encase, Smart Case, Extra Witness. They can read actually DD images, which is a great, I think, about FTK. So if someone did have Encase workstation, they created an Encase file. FTK can read that file, as well as DD images and so on. So it's a nice thing about FTK that it sort of offers that open input from other formats. So ProDiscover looks at bitstream copy of the entire disk. You can do over a network. That's actually pretty important. I've noticed that during my tour of the FBI. A lot of times, you just want to copy either a volume copy or a full copy. You might copy it down from an image on a server that's on site to your workstation. So something to look at for these tools is network connectivity. Also, though, I would say also look at tools that can run standalone. It's not uncommon to have a workstation that is not, physically disconnected from the network. Could be if you're investigating malware. You don't want to unleash, if the malware detonates, you don't want that to unleash and infect the entire network, your forensics lab. So there are also tools you should build that can run alone. So some of the tools things you look for in flexibility of tools. Here's some images for ProDiscover. There's the SAW, Smart Acquisition Workshops, Linux, Mac. I don't have the pager for these guys yet, so I should probably have to look that one up. Again, you can see a disk, look at the interface, acquisition, disk imaging, verification. Again, a lot of the basics for all these tools. Again, these might be some older looking interfaces, but we can still have devices on a system. So, WinHex, this is a big one. WinHex. It comes from Xways Forensics. Xways here, xways.net Forensics. This is their site at the time of this recording. WinHex is definitely a huge one. There are some other tools they offer. This is one I definitely know I've seen mentioned on my tours and talks with forensics professionals. And sometimes it comes bundled with other tools too. So I won't go into the details of it here, but WinHex is definitely a huge one. And does a lot more than just offer you a hex editor. You can actually clone entire processes, disk tools. You can see here, Open RAM. There's a lot of great tools built into WinHex. Very powerful. Definitely, if you learn WinHex, it would be a good thing. If you learned outside of this, outside the open source tools we look at in my class. So. All right, so again, these tools are going to depend upon your budget. Disk Imager. I think Disk Imagers, is free, I believe. So, some of those tools you can see image test results built in. So they'll list how they tested these tools. It's actually a good thing when you do build your lab is the ability to go in and test, validate, and update your tools. Again, you don't want to have a tool that's unlicensed, out of date, or has not been validated. This could cause issues with the validity of the evidence that it has found. So, very important that as part of the lab upkeep, if you're lucky, you might have an entire team to help you upkeep your lab, but it could fall upon you. So, Encase, again, we talked about this already. Some duplicate things here. I guess it helps maintain chain of custody. A lot of these tools do this too. And also, it will analyze RAM. Definitely, you won't get that volatile information snapshot created. You want something that can read it. A lot of tools can do this, open source, and some of these big tool kits like Encase actually can help read RAM. So, keyword searches, save searches, flagging results, or bookmarking results. Very important for a lot of these tools. You might roll through and bookmark stuff to be followed up upon by someone else. So a way to have a central bookmark was maybe your written notes will be good, but if no one's around to read your written notes, all they see is the image of the 4,000 or 5,000 documents from the suspect's drive. If you bookmark some during initial analysis, that could help speed the process. So FTK again, some more screenshots there. Evidence processing options. You can see there hashes definitely create multiple hashes, as well as file signature analysis. Some important stuff up front. If you can do that up during processing, initial processing, you want to find files that were the extensions were changed. For example, if it's a .doc and it was changed to .jpeg, and you're looking for documents, there's ways to do for file signature analysis to immediately determine that the extension is not correct. So if your initial analysis creates the hashes, indexes the drive, and already starts looking for things like documents, deleted files, as well as files that have been misnamed, the extensions have been misnamed, maybe on purpose or on accident, those can immediately be called out and investigated. So, Sleuth Kit. So here we go. So this is actually an open source kit here. And we have actually Autopsy and Sleuth Kit. So this is from sleuthkit.org. Again, I won't go into all the features of Autopsy. Again, what we see here, robust analysis, hashing, hash set filtering, registry analysis, using Redripper and so on. Sleuth Kit, again, documents, histories, and so on. Some of these are free. These are open source, so these are great. I won't go into the details of these. I won't give you a tour of them. The updates can change. The things are updated. The look and feel can change. But realize this is a good stop. And actually, we're going to look at Autopsy and Sleuth Kit, I believe, in this course. So since it's open source tools, so I won't spend too much time on that. You have things like ProDiscover tool, incident response forensics, live system examination. Again, you might think, well, you don't want to do that if you're doing forensics work. Again, for incident response in a corporate setting where you don't need to actually preserve anything, you just have to figure out what happened, and the quickest way is maybe look for malicious software, look for Trojans. Again, don't forget that forensics does play a big role in the cybersecurity of in the commercial side of the house. So you don't always need to have that long process of creating an entire image. If it takes 6 hours, 8 hours to create an image of a server or longer, that's a lot of time that you might burn and lose. That could help prevent the spread of malware. So there are times an incident response procedure might call for direct live system examination, a tool that can find and stop malware. And then you can further find out how the infection vector came in. So, lice, of course, look for hidden HP areas. In my emails with the tech at the FBI lab in Cincinnati, this isn't a big deal. I'm not saying don't know this. Know that this is something that can be done, but it seems like it's not a huge deal. So to keep in mind, though, again, ensure integrity of supports file systems, can generate extentful markup XML reports. This is actually pretty interesting. Look at the report output of all your tools. Some will just be PDF. Some might have a CSV or Excel file dump. You could have other tools that might combine all this input and create a master report. That's the problem with having multiple tools. They have multiple outputs. You might end up copying and pasting from different reports into a single report template that your team uses. You might just use a report generated from Encase, as is. Maybe a PDF output from one of these tools you might attach to a summary report template. So again, there's a lot of ways for this. Look at the output flexibility. And something that is XML means it could be fed into another reader and then parsed and then produce final outputs. And it being you don't want to spend a lot of time copying and pasting, manually doing this, where you can automate that because of the workload that forensics examiners get. So again, I'm not going to go through all these: post discover, instant response. Again, you see some commonalities here. We have, again, sort of format, partitions, drive, search results, categories on the side, and then the actual artifacts and findings in the middle there. X-ray forensics, we talked about them already, I believe. Again, hypertext markup reports. That could be good. You might be able to parse those. HTML parsing is sort of a pain. Gallery view for graphics and so on. Yeah, look at the interfaces too. If it's a graphic user interface for these tools, is it user friendly and so on. Here's some interesting features though too. Look for these interesting one-offs. You can look for JPEG images, but can you have ones that find skin colors? This is good for child pornography searches. Because if you have 4,000 or 5,000 images, you don't want to look for all of them, and if they're just images of general things, bird watching and so on. But in there are mixed some images that could be used in a case. So skin color detection, again, file extension mismatch detection. In this case, also reads image support for Encase media. So Drive Spy, again, more focused on, again, name and extension attributes, built-in hex viewer. I'm going to go through all the details of this. DT search. This is interesting. Search terabytes of text and images quickly. So some of these tools we'll see are really more specialized. They do one thing, do it well. They might actually fill a gap that your main tool suite cannot do, or they might actually be a great way to help give extra evidence or extra validity to the findings of your main tool suite. Meta-analysis, browser artifacts. Definitely browser history is a huge one. If you watch any 48 hours, it seems like searching the browser history is always one thing they look for. So again, Encase, black bag, forensics, and so on. I'll bring up that in a second. It's not in the slide deck. They definitely have tools that will search for search for and find browser history. File viewers, definitely you might do all kinds of different files on the docx, RTF, JPEG, PNG. It's nice to have a central viewer that can view the file as well as extract all the metadata it can from the file. Sometimes the app itself, if it's a Word doc, you might be able to open in Word and get metadata, but there could be some stuff in there that you're not seeing. And of course, images, we know about the EXIF, IF data, tons of data with those. So thumbnail viewers, this is fantastic because there's a ThumbsDB. That's still around, I believe, in Windows. It's basically a thumbnail database of images. You might delete the image, the database still might have a viewer inside of it. And again, this is general viewer here with Thumb Plus viewer. And again, device seizures, Parabin tools, Celebrite. We have tools for the actual acquisition of the actual images. Here we have something called ChatStick. It's a great name. I don't know if it's still around. It's a Parabin tool, looks like. Find chat logs. I don't know if that's really a big thing anymore. But don't discount the fact that some people might fall back to older technology. I think some of the newer stuff with Signal and so on, I don't know if ChatStick's still around, if it still can handle that encryption. Porn stick, again, something that can find images with certain features in them, like skin tone and so on. A few other things, of course, we have hardware, disk write blockers, keystroke loggers, and so on. Special purpose hardware. Again, Celebrite, probably the biggest ones we know for grabbing a phone and capturing it. So, and we have Celebrite up here already. Talked about it already. A lot of stuff here. So, no name Celebrite. And of course, we actually have the hardware manufacturers. So, we see here with this case, this is ICS-IQ.com. It's like one of the main vendors here. Here's like a Solo 4. And actually, see the prices here. Forensic Super Toolkit. So you can see there's some price here. You get an idea about what's included. Carrying case, pretty nice. Really, it's a lot of adapters. So it's interesting to see these products. And these definitely are things you want to look at if you have a team that goes in the field. Here's it's a Roadmaster Forensics Hard Drive Acquisition Duplicator Analysis. So it's a little under $14,000. You can buy, no surprise, specialized hardware. Comes with higher prices. And the last one we'll look at here. So we'll look at this. We'll look at this here. We talked about Parabin. Parabin tools, of course, a big one. I think it was called Black Bag. I don't have the Black Bag Forensics. It's a new one that sort of competes with Encase. I thought I had the. I may close the tab. But again, probably the biggest thing is look at the NIST list of tools for the latest and greatest. One of the last ones we'll talk about here is DFF, Digital Forensics Framework. It's actually I'm going to do a different video on this. Actually, I'm going to do a quick little demo video. And you can see it's both a GUI and command lines. It's a tool suite that we have. And we actually have a lab on that. So, and really, so let's just summarize this up. It's going to depend upon, your toolkit's going to depend upon what you do. If you're just a incident response type of forensics team for a corporation, you might not need all that $14,000 drive acquisition type of tools. You need more specialized tools to help, freeze, maintain evidence, and find out why you're getting hacked, for example. But if you're law enforcement, of course, different tools, different teams. Look at the internal reporting and auditing. Look at the tools, update, look how much they cost, if there's a cost to them. How often they're updated, and how they're, if there's ways to go ahead and do like quarterly or monthly validation checks on them, especially for hardware tools. You don't want those to go out of date, get unlicensed, or have not been validated for a long period of time. Again, that can cause issues with miscibility of evidence. So, and again, your forensics toolkit's going to vary based on these things here. Last thing on background training, if you do find yourself wanting to go for maybe a certain team or certain corporation or a certain branch of the government for forensics, and you figure out, ask around, so what kind of tools they use. And a lot of these toolkits have their own training and certification, certificate of completion. And that's a great way to go ahead and build up your skill set with a series of tools. And actually, too, let's say you learn Encase, a lot of the training behind that actually still might apply for other tool sets. It's different GUI. In the end, it's really the same type of workflow and the same type of tasks. So don't be bad if you get Encased, you get Encase training and certificate, and then you could hire on someone that doesn't use Encase. You might find that experience to help you out. So that wraps up our look at tour of tools. Again, Chapter 9 will go into more automating and the analysis and extending capabilities of tools. So check that out when you get a chance. And that covers it. Thank you.